This is a more difficult story because it's a bunch of stories altogether. So, first I want to apologize. Last time I was here, I referred to a fairly large swath of the audience as my drunk friends. I was projecting, I'm sorry. So, that was for you, Barbara, who's not here. So I really don't have time to read my entire memoir here tonight. So I've boiled it down to a sentence. So if you have about 10 seconds, I can tell you my entire memoirs in 10 seconds. You ready?
Yeah, ready.
I grew up on the set of Deliverance with the Monty Python cast. So I can end it there if you want, or I can flesh out the story, whichever you want a detail or two. It's very hard to keep to 8 minutes, but so the deliverance part I'll have to leave up to your imagination. There are people who were the victim of circumstance as much as anyone else, so that's their story to tell. But my father is Manx from the Isle of Man. My mother's was Welsh, and they met in Canada, and they had a very nice life on a very nice street in Montreal. And for some ridiculous reason, they bought this farm, a dilapidated old farm built in 1850. And on the weekends, they packed their 4 children and a dog in the Jeep Wagoneer and went to the farm for the weekend. And this isn't one of Maggie Smith's weekends. This was like hard work, falling down barns, sickly cows, that kind of thing. So it was quite an interesting life. And there are many rabbit holes I could go down. I can't tonight in 8 minutes. There was the year that the hippies lived with us, and that was really neat. And the day that the neighbor came down with a gun and went off the wagon. He was fairly harmless until that day, but he went off the wagon, came down with a gun, shot in our driveway. And there was the other time his cousin shot my mother's friend in the head, and there was we lived in the middle of nowhere. I looked it up on the GPS. There's nothing there except a few neighbors. So, anyway, my mother was an amazing person. She could recite Shakespeare and drive the tractor and make jams and jellies and sew and knit and draw and stack wood. She was a really interesting person, but she liked to have her own way. And she was often known to, her eyes would bug out of her head, and she would say, "You will obey," and things like that. And I was just a little kid. And she would say things like, "Gillian, come here and bend over my knee," which I did until I was about 5. And then I was like, if this lady wants to spank me, she's going to have to work for it. So if she wants to chase me up the stairs with a hairbrush, which she did on a regular basis, she could do that. Have at it. But I'm not going to just bend over somebody's knee. And then sometimes she would say, "Do it now or I will get the wooden spoon." I'm sure lots of people have had that similar experience. And her eyes would my daughter's eyes pop out just like my mother's, but skips a generation. Anyway, so she would just march into the kitchen and come back with a wooden spoon. I'd be on the roof or somewhere by then. But she was nothing compared to her grandmother, which her mother, who came over to England to spank her little American grandchildren, but that's another rabbit hole. So my mother had a very quick wit. And one day my brother said, he was about 7, my little brother, and he said, You bitch. And she said, "Oh, well, you know what that makes you, didn't you?" And he said, "What?" She said, "Well, that makes you a son of a bitch." So he just sort of looked away like, okay, whatever. He never called her that again. And my mother tried to be encouraging. And my brother was an older brother, was merely mean. He called me stupid, he called me dumb, and I would cry. And my mother one day sat me down on her lap, and she said, "Oh, Gillian, I know your brother's good at math and science, but you're so loving and giving." And that was code for, you're not going to get a PhD in electrical engineering and be a climatologist and save the world and have 8 pages of Google when you type in your name. You know what that made me? It made me a fucking psychotherapist. That's what it made me. What else can you be when you're loving and giving? So loving and giving. But there is a perk. There is a perk to being a psychotherapist. Deb, don't give this one away. You can wear the same clothes for an entire week. And you never see the person, right, Deb? You never see the same person. As long as I don't see Deb twice in a week, I'm all set. Or spilled my lunch on myself or something. So anyway, around the time I turned 7, we moved from Montreal to the farm permanently. And that was a little traumatic. So my mother tried to maintain as much of her British culture as she possibly could. So in our house, if you wanted to eat toast, it took about 10 minutes. So you have to make the toast, you put it in a toast rack, you make about 6 pieces of toast, put it in the toast rack, everybody sits down.